Hello and welcome to You Belong on the Board, a podcast designed to inspire and encourage young women into business, which is being expertly filmed by Sonar TV at Southampton Solent University. My name is Catherine and I am the founder of GLOW, which stands for Growing Leaders with Opportunities and Willpower. But I'm also a university student at the University of Sussex, where I'm on my placement year with SAP.
And I'm Helen. I am a woman and I am a mum and I also am a businesswoman. I've been working in business for 30 years and I have my own business, Aviatrix, which is a market research business. So why are we here? Well, we're here because in 2017, only 5.6% of UK women ran their own businesses, compared to 15% of women in Canada and over 20% in America. Yet up to 250 billion of new value could be added to the UK economy if women started and scaled new businesses at the same rate as men. So,
impressive statistics.
They are, and we're here to address it, Catherine.
Yes, we're here to encourage the next generation to just do it.
Exactly.
But let's get on with the episode. So today we're going to be looking at education. The thing with education is that there's no right or wrong way to do it. There is no perfect story. There is no perfect journey. Why don't you tell your story, Jen?
Well, I failed every single one of my GCSEs. And it was the biggest shock when I got them, because I really didn't think I was going to fail, but I did. I didn't even get my English language. So I, as a result of that, I stayed on at school. I don't even remember that year, to be honest. It was just kind of like a year that I had to stay on and do them, and I got myself together and I did my A-levels and then I went on to do a degree. I have to say my own personal experience was that I really didn't switch on to education until I did my degree, but I absolutely loved it. It opened up an enormous world of opportunity that I had no idea I could would see or experience. So it was an incredible experience for me. But that failure or that mistake at the beginning, I was so embarrassed about and ashamed about. But actually, it's paid dividends in my career, because it's through those mistakes that, of course, you do learn. But rather like the right or wrong answer, there is no certainty. And I think when you set out to do an exam or set out with a degree, there is no certainty about what you're going to do next. Yeah. So you can't create that. And I think that that's what's so real actually about education, is that there is no golden path, there is no yellow brick road. You know, you don't know where it's going to lead. It's almost like I imagine a river being, you know, your life, and you've got loads of stepping stones in front of you and you can just choose which one you go to. You can go forward, you can go back, you can stay where you are, but each one is a stepping stone, and usually when you've gone to the next one, the previous one fades away. Yes. Especially what I found, so I had a very similar route, but I went straight through my GCSEs, I went straight through my A-levels and onto my degree. So I didn't take a gap year, I didn't do anything, I just carried on the stereotypical route almost. But as soon as I got to A-levels, my GCSEs didn't matter. And if I'm honest, now I've got into my degree, my A-levels don't really matter either. I don't even remember the last time I was asked about my A-levels, let alone my GCSEs. No, completely. You know? And I think at the time, though, they were so important, because the pressure, especially now that GCSEs are being taken at the age of 13 and 14, it's just so much pressure at such a young age, because you're told, you know, if you fail these, you failed your life. You know, that's more or less the message we were given. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I don't think that thing about, oh, this is the most important thing and you can't actually see over the hill, you kind of like everything is focused on that one thing and perfection at that stage. And I think that's in a way that's the role of the adults in your life at that point. But it's not actually the truth, because as you say, really is just like going through the next door and going through the next door and going through the next door. And once you've entered the next door, you don't look back. You're on to the next thing. And I think that actually is quite a good metaphor for careers, really. So I think that it's really kind of putting you on that path of, the educational process of what actually is in store. You have to commit to doing something. I think that's the other thing around making choices about which subjects or where to focus your attention or whatever, or should I do an apprenticeship or should I do A-levels or whatever it might be. You just need to make a decision and then the next thing will present itself.
Absolutely. And I think what we need to highlight here is the stress and almost the anxiety that surrounds all of these sort of decisions and just going through these stepping stones. So myself, I was struggling quite a lot, especially through my GCSEs with mental health, where I just got to the point of being so stressed of failing that I isolated myself for a whole month. I didn't see my friends, didn't go out with family. I stayed in my room and I studied and I studied and I studied. And it led to me getting exam anxiety, which still plagues me today. And it meant that even though I was achieving, so I think my A-levels, I was predicted A-star AA, A-star in maths, A's in English and history, which I was achieving. In the class, when I was doing my mocks, everything, I was achieving it. But as soon as I got to the exam hall, where I knew this is where it matters, if I mess it up, my life's over, because of all the pressure that's put on you, I naturally just do worse because my English isn't coherent, my sentences, all the knowledge in my head, I'm like, which one do I use, which one do I use? And actually, in both my GCSEs and my A-levels, I've always dropped one grade below my predicted. So I ended up with ABB, which is still incredible, absolutely incredible. I'm so happy. But the stress that's still put on, I know I could have achieved an A-star AA, but I didn't because of the stress. And I think that's what schools really need to start addressing. They need to say, we need to stop putting so much pressure. We need to say it's okay to make mistakes. Like you said, you failed your GCSEs, but look where you are today. You're MD of your own company. You know?
Completely. It really doesn't, 1 + 1 does not make 2 in this scenario. And I think the thing about you're saying about stress is pointing at the fact that our brains don't function. When there's stress, you can't think and you can't access the database. And what school to a large extent is about, or the school that we kind of most people refer to, is the one which is filling your brain, your database, with facts and figures and all that kind of stuff. And actually it's a different type of exercise. When you're in an exam, you need to access that database, and stress gets in the way of doing that. So you've got to be really relaxed. It's almost like it should be a pleasurable experience to kind of explain what you've learned, but that doesn't actually tend to be the message that you get given. It's all about the outcome, the grade. And it really isn't that at all. I mean, I think that the unsung hero of all education, especially my experience of going and doing further education, is actually the learning that gets done off the job, outside of college, being able to socialise, being able to survive without your parents, becoming independent from them. It's that learning about yourself, learning how to cope, all those wonderful things that is so much more important, I think, if you're going to pursue a career in business.
Yeah, it's less about the facts and of learning Shakespeare's whole Othello, or learning that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Those of you who get that reference, A-star. But it's less about that, and it's more about supporting Generation Alpha. It's more about supporting them to make the decisions they want to make. And like you say, learning to live away from home and learning the skills that they need, to survive, especially at university. If you decide to go, or moving out of home, it's such, a culture shock. And a lot of people really struggle with it because, you're used to coming home and your bed's made and your clothes are done, you've got a meal on the table, and then you've now got to worry about, okay, can I actually pay for my bills? Can I go out? Do I have time to do it? It's that whole, there's no one there to help you anymore.
No. And I think the other thing that, building on that really, is one of the things that you have to learn well, you don't have to learn this, but I think one of the things that especially on reflection, is I always felt that I wasn't any good at maths. It took me 3 times to get my maths O level. It did not come easy to me. I was constantly told by my family, teachers, that I was not good at maths. Well, and so I believed I wasn't good at maths, and in fact I wasn't good at maths. But the truth is, now in my career, I am really good at maths. I've completely discovered that I am. But so what you think you are, you become. And actually, we've all got the same capacity in our brains. I know that some people are more academically attuned or whatever, or better at academic stuff than others. And I wouldn't suggest that I'm an academic. But actually, everybody's got the same capacity in their brain to learn things. Don't give up. Keep going and do what you want. Do what you feel you're passionate about, because you've only got this one life. It's so important that you make choices that feel true to you, and don't listen to the well, obviously you have to listen to the adults in your life. We wouldn't want to tell you different, but actually, you make a choice about what you know you can do, rather than what you feel you can't. Don't allow that thinking to get in the way of your instincts.
Yeah, I think to build on that point for Generation Alpha is that you need to do something that you're really passionate about. Like, I know teachers say, like, don't do this degree or don't do this if you're not passionate about it. But it is actually so true, because if you do, so originally I wanted to go into law. I remember first year of my A-levels, I was like, no, I'm going to do law. Like, law's the best thing for me because, it's, well paid, it's respected. I'm going to go to law. And also my dad loved the show Suits, which helps.
Was that the clothing? Oh, sorry, you did say the shoot.
Yeah, it's the show. He does like the suits as well, But so he really tried to push me to go to law. And then I decided that's not for me. And so I turned to business and I looked at accounting. And I was like, yeah, I'll be an accountant. I'm really good at maths. Let's do this. And I remember I did 2 weeks of work experience in accounting. And by day 2, I just wanted to be out of there. And so it just shows that you've got to make sure you know what you're studying and that you're choosing things that are right for you. And especially with my university experience itself, I'm so glad I chose business because it stimulated me. It's been interesting, and I've managed to personalise my degree to be project management and entrepreneurship, which is 2 things that really I'm passionate about and which are really going to help me. So saying, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good at this, I'm going to go do it, it's just not the right approach.
No.
Especially for Generation Alpha going into it.
Yeah, and I think for me, my philosophy early on in my, if I did have a philosophy about my education was to keep all the doors open.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so, thinking about women going into business, young women considering business, business is enormous. It's every commercial opportunity out there and charity and social enterprise. Yeah. It is enormous. So actually saying, I'm going to go into business is limitless. Yeah. So that was the reason I chose a business degree, because I knew that it would be open. And I think there is something about not shutting down your choices too much. Although, I know plenty of people that perhaps went down the legal route, for example, and then decided that wasn't for them. Exactly as you're saying about accountancy or the law, is you don't have to stick there. But I do think that, keeping your options open if you really aren't sure is quite a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, to build on that, like keeping your options open while you're doing your degree, because you've got the joy in some senses of only being in 13 hours a week or even less for some degrees. You've got that joy to experiment and take opportunities elsewhere. So, for example, I decided to do an ACTIS, which, looking back, is one of the best decisions I ever made, because having those opportunities while I was studying meant I could put into practice what I was learning. So I was learning about project management and how to be an effective leader. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should take this to my social enterprise and practice it and see if it works. And it brings a whole new depth to the study because you are experiencing it. It's more than just reading a theory. It's saying, actually, this really does work, or no, actually in this situation it's not quite right for me. And having that there on top of your studies is just, it's invaluable. Absolutely invaluable.
And again, you know, that whole thing of, you know, that is part of education. You know, even getting a job. I had a job at the age of from the age of 14, working in a newsagent. That was an education.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's just, especially in our world where we can look up anything on our phones. Actually, you know, facts and figures and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's very important, but there is a bigger world out there, and really the huge skill that I see that is going to put people aside from or set people up much more effectively is social skills, because with robots taking over the world in the next, certainly in your lifetime, probably mine as well, is, you know, being a really, being amazing at being a human being is going to be really valuable.
And I mean, you know, and the government wants to give us those opportunities. They want to give us that chance, especially with maintenance loans, you know, and bursaries. They're trying to give us the opportunity so we don't need to hopefully worry about money if that is the situation with your family. They want to give us that opportunity so we can do these things. So I know a lot of people, especially when I was doing youth work, were saying, oh no, we don't want to go to university because we don't want to take on a loan, it's going to be so daunting. Which, yes, you know, 60 grand is, you know, quite a lot of money. It's a lot to have over your shoulders. And I remember my parents saying, don't go to university. Don't go to university because, you know, you're going to put yourself into so much debt. But when you properly look at it, it's actually just like another tax. You don't have to pay it all back at once, and you pay it gradually. And you don't even see the money come out of your account because it comes out before you get paid. So it's like costing that up and just saying you lose a little bit of your income for potentially getting a job that's giving you so much more income. You know, it's absolutely the good thing, you know, and it gives you that opportunity.
Totally. Well, there's two things about that. One thing is that I think I did go to the worst university in the land, but it really served me extremely well. And I would have easily paid 60 grand for what I now know in hindsight to have been a huge leg up in terms of my career and spending those 3 years or 4 years to studying a business degree. But the other thing I was going to say is, obviously both of us are graduates and both of us went down that route. But what can we say to people that are looking at apprenticeships, or when would you, because I don't have the experience to be able to say that I would choose that, but I know a lot of people, or I didn't choose it. So what can we say to people that are thinking about that? Because I know that there's a lot of encouragement for people to go down that route.
I think the key thing to mention, like both of us are talking about university, but we really need to look at those other opportunities that are out there. And I don't think they should be discredited. There's the new T-levels, there's apprenticeships, earn while you learn schemes. They're so important. And I think we need to have focus on there. So if we're really to summarise, like don't have a closed door. Like you say, keep it open, research your opportunities and really look for what's best for you. There is no right or wrong answer. Just go for what feels right.
And the only last point on that is that it's never over. I mean, I've got friends who at the age of 50 are considering going back and doing a degree. So it's never over.
No.
So it's
always
not now or never. It's now or whenever.
To learn or not to learn.
Yes,
literally.
That is the question.
So it was lovely to talk to you, Helen, but I think we're going to have to wrap it up here and save it for the next episodes.
Definitely.
And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for watching our podcast. Just to let you know, we have an event on the 12th of December 2019 in Brighton at the Brightham Centre at 6 p.m. This will be a panel event where you guys can come and meet us and also our guest speakers to hear more about what we were talking about and the opportunities that we have on offer.